okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. Everything's changing, just trying to navigate. Oh, I keep on believing I'm gonna find my way with every day. I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me, me, me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. 'Cause nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. 'Cause nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me.
What up, Wednesday friends? Keely Dunn, FHumpires. You're the third team, and wow, we're getting ready. We are getting ready for the big show, the EHCO. The EHCO. Yeah, we're gonna figure something out really fun with that. And I am taking off in 24, 27, about 30, 32 hours, something like that. So it's on like Donkey Kong. It's in there like swimwear. This is happening. I'm a little bit, yes, things have been crazy getting ready, but here we are. I have a variety of fun topics to go through today. It's a little bit of a different show, mostly because I'm really angry right now. So this is what I'm angry about. I'm not super angry about that. But, I'm really angry that I missed out on my second topic, which is the secret. Oh, are you serious? None of them are there. I'm talking about the secret coach article. Second, we're going to talk about a goalkeeper sliding tackle from Inside Hockey after that. We are going to talk about when to stop for a head injury. I'm going to do a little quick review of the indoor CanAm series, which I umpire managed at 2 weekends ago now, but things were way too busy last week to talk about it, and I was still like processing. And then we're going to talk about breakdown PC running, which is very poorly called suicide running. We'll get into all that later. And then we have some Stickwise Shithousery. YouTube, if you get me for that, I'm sorry. It's a term of art. You cannot demonetize me for a term of art. It's not my word. It's what the British people say. So you can't blame me for that. Let's just make sure that I'm all live. I think everything's working okay. Hi. Let's see. Ian, am I in London for, let's see, I should really bring comments up on screen. That's a lot more helpful for you all, instead of me just reading off YouTube. Comments and reactions. There it is. There we go. Goddard's is here. That's exciting. He's showing up because he's getting ready. Amsterdam. Kia ora, Stefan. Good to have you. Thank you, Hendrik. Always appreciate you monitoring me for accuracy and correctness in the goalkeeper vids. Thank you for showing up. There you go. And there you go. Yes, the Flintstone Cottage is in the house. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, Boo, I'm sorry to hear you're feeling badly. I feel like total pants as well. So, hey, I hope I used the word pants correctly in that sentence. Flyby yellow now. You'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Oh, Milford. It's so sad when I start out with this bad news that you're not going to be around, but okay. Yes, but you will be there, and thank you, Rachel. I do look fabulous. You got to look fabulous, and hopefully it'll make you feel fabulous. That's there. And you're not ready? I am not ready either, Luke. Very not ready. Good to see you, Scott. There you go. Do I have to buy, Gideon, do I have to buy the FHumpires.com domain name and redirect it? Is that a common misspelling that it shouldn't, the U and the V are very far apart on the keyboard. How did that happen? I just want to know. Oh, Ian, so am I in London at all? Yes. Monday the 4th, let's talk. Okay? I'm just going to throw that out there, and we're just going to keep it like vague London, because I wouldn't want like all of the people out there to be like, oh my God, Keely, and I'll rush to the same place. Can't tell you what my itinerary is. Apparently personal security is very important. Jenny, hi. I'm live at a time a little better. Yes, we are here now for the summer, at least the summer for us. Winter for you? Yes, so there we go. Hi, Tegan, first time. Hi. Also love your name. I just wanted to throw that out there. My music teacher when I was a kid named her daughter Tegan, and I always loved the name. Very warm welcome. Also Tegan and Sarah, very, very famous musicians from Calgary. There you go. Yes, and you missed the start. Okay, well, you know what it is. That's why we have a start, so that you don't miss anything important. And also, my topics thing was completely unfinished. Fun. Before we get going, I would like to announce the following announcement. Mr. Rob McGregor only went and got his level 1 assessment successfully completed. Samurai Pizza, we doff our chapeaus in your general direction. He's always around the server and making sure to stick his nose in where it belongs and give us lots of comments and feedback and questions. And he's just a lovely person to have in the community. So Rob, congratulations. It is just fantastic that you got that done. So there you are. Let's get into the content, friends. Okay, let's see if any of this is going to work properly. Let's find out. We're going to start off with the BUCS sliding goal.
BUCS Big Wednesday.
This is the quality of the video we have.
We've got a cracking set of games today as Nottingham press. Can they get in? Wow! Nottingham look to have won it at the death.
And this is the slow-mo zoomed in, maybe 240p replay of all the things. Okay, so the goal was scored on this play, and we have some things we can talk about. If Kat's here and you can add a poll, I'll find out very quickly if that is a possibility for you. We are looking for whether it's a goal. Is it a goal and a yellow card? Is it a free hit defense and a yellow card? And we're just not going to get into the 5 or 10 in the poll part, because then we have 5 options and that can't be done. Does another option need to be just a free hit defense and nothing else? Yeah, probably that needs to be something. So if you're here, great. If you're not, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll find out. Kat, are you here? Say something in the comments. I know you sent me a DM, but come on. Look at me. I am a hot mess of stress. I'm a hot stress mess. And I don't even know where my head is at. Okay. Yes, and well done, Rob. Thank you. I would like to hear that story too, actually, Stefan. That's a great point. Please, let's find out. Inquiring minds want to know. The Badger's looking forward to it as well. Says Godders about the tour. Because guess what her tour shirt says? Her tour shirt. I can't whisper and say tour shirt at the same time. Tour shirt. Shh. It's a total surprise. Nobody's ever going to guess what it says on the back. And yes, congratulations. Okay, it looks like I am on my own. So let me do this. I've forgotten where it is. Oh, here. Go plus y'all talk amongst yourselves. Oh, it's really quiet because I don't have my music going. There. That'll get better very shortly. But it sneaks up on you. It's kind of like a taper in. Add option. And then free hit defense. And free hit defense and yellow card. Yeah, I can only put 4 options. So that does restrict us, but that's all we can do. All right, so let's talk about what we're looking at here. And I think part of it is that we're gonna have trouble. And the thing that made me angry about this clip is that we're gonna have trouble figuring out exactly what happened because of the fact that the sun is setting and there's insufficient light on the pitch for broadcasting, that the angle is terrible, there's a ton of traffic moving, the frame rate is low, and yeah, it's just a nightmare, right? So just making sure everybody's still here. Okay. I'm like, where's all the comments happening? We have some. So this was sent over to me with the question about the attacker slide. And are we concerned about this being an issue about, you know, should this be taken under the briefing, for example, about sliding tackles? Even though, full review, I don't believe this is a tackle. I don't believe it's automatically caught under the briefing if it were determined that it is there's a lot of things in here to look at. And what I want to sort of point out as we look at this slide, and I warm up my pencil here, my video pencil. It's not going to work the first time around. It never does. There it is. Okay. It's difficult to see everything that's happening, but what I want to do is sort of develop 2 scenarios, because what isn't important is exactly what happened here, but how are we going to apply the principles when this happens in our games? Okay, that's always the case. I'm looking at this. Let's see. You're saying it looks like the attacker loses his footing and slides into his defender. Okay. And Rob very unfortunately had to do his men's ones games in order to get his rating, but there you go. For Simon, the attacker appears to come in behind number 10 yellow and take him out while scoring. Number 10 is back to the slider, but the slider can see him clearly, so danger caused by slider. You don't like that he's leading with his feet first in the slide. I mean, that's not the only thing to think about. And I mean, what I want you to do when you have that, I don't like this, I want you to take the like and the feeling out of it and think about what principle does this invoke for me? that players are less likely to be trying to play the ball if they're sliding with their feet forward. That could be a principle. And so the recklessness of that action, it speaks to that. But is that necessarily true? I'm not saying that. But what I want you to do is to get away from, oh, I just don't like that. It's like, why don't you like it? Why? Why? We're going to ask why so that we can boil down to a principle that we can apply in future situations. Really, really important. Denman basically butt voted. So congratulations. That's terrific. Mr. Eggleton, you think the attacker slid into clear space and the defender moved into a slide? That's absolutely another take on it, reading what we are trying to see here in this. And for Jenny, no tackle, possibly danger to self, goal. Okay, and what I want to make sure that I parse out, and I try to be very specific about this when I talk about my objection to the briefing. And again, this isn't... like, we've had some conversations in the last couple of days about feelings and consensus and things like that. And I don't like that the briefing leads us to apply what is, for me, an unprincipled approach to danger and sliding tackle situations. If we apply it word for word as it's written, because attackers can't tackle because they're not trying to dispossess a defender from the ball, because that is it an oxymoron or just a factual impossibility? I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comments if that logics. I don't know. And the reason that I don't like that is that the set of circumstances around a defender making a slide and trying to dispossess a ball-carrying attacker who's looking down at the ball and trying to do awesome things with it, who can't defend themselves against something that they often cannot see or are distracted from seeing, is very different from an attacker who is sliding towards a defender. Could be very different, because a defender could see that action, be able to protect themselves. Maybe the ball's not even involved. They have much better vision. It can often be much less dangerous, but sometimes it can be just as dangerous. And so the absolute rule, which isn't a rule, it's a guidance that people are applying, can lead you to what I think is an unprincipled approach. It doesn't reflect what we're trying to hammer out, which is people behaving recklessly and dangerously and injuring their opponents when they're in vulnerable positions. Like, that's really what the whole rule is trying to get at about danger, is opponent is vulnerable, don't be a dick. Okay, that's it. So when we have an attacker, as we do in this situation, trying to, in an absolute, just scintillating, exciting, desperate 30, 40 seconds left in the game moment, get his stick on a rebounding ball. And if you have been running pell-mell as that attacker did, and Stefan, I'm getting back to your point. If you're running pell-mell as that attacker did and trying to get there, and then you realize, oh, I'm overrunning this, you might slide in order to get your stick out behind you so that you can still make contact with the ball. It's really hard to see exactly what he's doing here. And he's not really going face first or even feet first. He's actually kind of sliding like parallel like this. Really, when you look at it. Let's see if I can, if we can sort of boil into this. Why is, am I even Englishing today? I don't know. Let's see some more comments as I'm doing this. So, hi Anthony, good to see you. It's been a while. Attacker made contact with the ball first before making contact with the defender. That's a statement of fact. How is that relevant? Do we only interpret something as being dangerous if contact wasn't made with the ball first? Not in our sport. Okay, danger is danger, and whether the ball is made contact with doesn't necessarily make something not dangerous. it is something that we add into the consideration only because it changes, very potentially, what angles the players are moving at and whether the action of going to ground was reckless or not in that situation, or is it something that you could have expected, okay? So I hear your point, but I want you to boil that down to how we actually apply dangerous play in our sport. And it's not football, so we do not have a rule that as long as you make contact the ball first, you can do whatever you want. Not in our game, okay? That's sports ball, not ours. Okay? So for Gideon, the slides from behind the defender, which brings them to ground. They aren't in any position to see it coming. High danger, but that would have happened without the attacker slipping. Okay, so I'm going to get this off the screen so that I can rewind this. Now, when you say that the defender that gets taken down is coming from behind, I don't think that's the case. It's really hard to see, but here, wait, here's the defender who's getting taken down, okay? And they've been traveling in this direction. Come on, Arrow, you can do it. You can do it. Just get there. So there's a set of defenders sort of that have been chasing and meandering this way, but this is the defender who goes down. Okay? And when we scroll back just a little bit in this timeline, and I'm sorry, it's dark, it's a terrible video, it frustrates me all to hell. All right, this is the frame. Okay, so this is the defender who's going down. He's actually reaching out for that ball, trying to clear it from the line. He's putting himself down in a lower position, but he's not in the space where the ball is. So this sliding attacker is coming this way, and he's actually sliding into what is space at the time that he's made his decision and well into the trajectory of his slide. The way that I see it. Which means that we have a situation where as this progresses, and look, you can see this defender already is a little bit, they've got one knee down. They're already really, really low. Looks like they were going to be diving and tumbling. From this angle, though, it's really hard for us to see just how far they're reaching. So are they reaching, at full stretch, or is the ball closer to them? Don't really know because angles. And let's see. Michael, you got a few here. Okay. It looks like your comments got out of order. But so, Michael, you think the attacker slide is deliberate? Yes. They were in full control of their body. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't an accidental slip, or they didn't trip on the turf, or they didn't trip over somebody's foot. They made the decision to go to ground. So they are responsible for the outcome. I agree to that first point. And also intending to play the ball, okay? It looks like potentially the attacker's sliding line didn't intersect with anyone at the point at which they started the slide. And I tend to agree with that as best as we can see. But clearly it was very much into space. It was going to contain other players in the near future, okay? And that's kind of difficult, right? Are they responsible for the safety of players that may be coming into that area? And what does that create the right kind of onus, do we think, on a player? Because what I really, again, the reason I went through my whole diatribe about defenders versus attackers sliding is that it's the vulnerability issue. So if you're sliding into a space that nobody's in there yet, who is vulnerable in that moment? Who can't defend themselves? Who can't see that coming? And as I've mentioned several times when we talk about sliding tackles, is that player who's in full awareness and can see a player sliding towards them, and then they step into that contact because they're trying to perhaps encourage a yellow card to be brought out. A 10-minute yellow card is a massive penalty, and it could be team penalties and, you know, getting upgraded and things like that. Then we have a whole new sort of, we have another set of information from a hockey player's perspective as to how they look at what real danger is. And would they consider this real danger? Like, I don't mean like the Loughborough defenders in this particular situation. I think generally would players say that that attacker should not be sliding there because he's sliding into a space that another defender might be trying to reach because the ball's going there. You feel how tenuous that argument? It's not just the face that I was making. I don't think it's a very strong argument, period. Let's see what you guys have as well. Henry! Sir, good to see you. Get to more streams and get in the server. Okay. Hi. For you, the attacker deliberately slides into space. Okay. And defender behind also slides and takes out their own player, maybe? Okay. For you, it's the contact. Got to bring that up again. 20 seconds isn't enough. The contact with the sliding attacker on the keeper, that's the issue. Okay. The keeper does come into the picture a little bit later. So let's have a wee looky at what the keeper is doing. Good point. Get out of my kitchen. Let's slide to here. Okay. Let's see where... Okay, so let's get back. This is about the point at which we've got the attacker starting their slide. Okay, so they've made their decision. They're sliding. They're coming this way. The goalkeeper is over there. Okay, so they're even further away. They attempted to play the pass or intercept the pass, or they were guarding their post. Whatever goalkeepers do. I'm not the boss of them. But they were over on this left post here. Okay, and then after that player is sliding, they do that goalkeeper thing and dive across onto the ground. Are they more entitled to dive into an empty space or a space that's unoccupied at the time in order to save the ball than an attacker is entitled to slide into at that moment? Okay. Jenny slides so fast that it could impact the defender, so position would determine if others were in danger. Leading with the feet can cause danger with other players. Yeah, I know. Okay. Also, the defender may not be able to tackle as the body shields them unfairly. But a sliding tackle headfirst can be dangerous as well. Very dangerous. Because it's the body of the player that takes out, and it's the body contact on a running attacker down a sideline. Their stick that's laid out, their arms can trip them, their head, their shoulders, their, like, everything. I'm trying to get to the logic of the arguments. That's so important for us. Because if we're going to explain these decisions in a way that convinces players and coaches and fans that we're not on drugs, we have to have solid logic behind us. And I'm still searching for it here. Hi, Nick. And you see what I mean? Okay, good. The feet are out to the side towards the baseline. Okay, and that's another good point there. So for Henry, what he's seeing is this. Let's see if I can pull it back. Don't be a... Okay. So, yeah, you can see quite a bit there. There's the feet. So, actually, his feet are well out of the way. If you think If you think the feet are the problem, they're probably close to the end line, if not off the end line in this moment. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit more. Okay, goalkeeper sliding tackles, read ball first to the ball first comment. Yeah, let's deal with it. Simon, repost this question for me when we get to number 3, because then we're actually talking about a goalkeeper slide. Okay. Okay. Cool. And when I watched this in real time, and for the first little bit, I was like, oh, wow. 10-minute yell. Easy. And the only question I was looking at was whether I would consider the action of the attacker disadvantageous enough to the defenders that that is what allowed them to score the goal. Or if it was simply a standalone personal penalty, the goal had already been scored, the danger is then in the slide. It's a really tough little line to draw, though, because the slide is what allowed them to score the goal. So, but for the slide, they wouldn't have had the advantage of being able to language. But for the slide, they would not have scored the goal. Therefore, they shouldn't reap the reward of that action. Whoops, let me keep playing it. So for Jamal, the defender heads to the attacker's path, and he even turned his head to see the shot. Okay. Matt, is it relevant the slide is into space at the point they started to slide? Hockey's a dynamic game and situations change. The attacker needs to be in control to react to the changing situation. Yeah. And that's the question that I'm asking. I'm trying to figure that out. And I think if we put the standards so high that an attacker has to be in control, that there's no possibility that the space that they are sliding into could later be occupied by a defender who can see everything that's happening and decides to go to try to occupy that same space, I have a problem with that. I think that's too high of a bar. And I don't think that's fair to attackers. And I don't think, says the defender, I don't think that that creates the kind of hockey that we really need. If we impart responsibility for safety on not just opponents, but on the self of the player, and that they shouldn't be putting themselves in positions where they could get hit with the ball when they don't have the privilege of using goalkeeper equipment, that they shouldn't run up behind players who are about to take a shot and then claim that they have, claim dangerous play because of, the injury that an attacker who doesn't know that they're there then inflicts on them with that backswing. I know that's not a, apples to apples, but I'm drawing some little comparisons of other ways that we impart responsibility on to the defenders. And this is very true. Yep. I agree with this, Stefan. Once they commit to the slide, they can't control where they go. So the question is, should they be held responsible for everything that happens? Like anything that could happen, or there's some things that they aren't responsible for? Like a defender who is also reaching out, stretching, isn't in the right position, trying in desperation to clear the ball off the line, and is already off balance, and yes, they get taken out, for lack of any other word. And yeah, we're all saying hi to Matt Harrison. Hi. Let's see. Oh boy, you and me both, Stefan. You and me both. And Denman talking about goalkeepers entitled to go. Yep, and that's an interesting point. So I did edit out what happened afterwards, which is we're not going to hear on audio if they have a conversation, but the supporting umpire in this situation, as the cameras pan, you can see them emphatically supporting the goal decision and making a goal signal to support their colleagues. So they were in agreement for whatever reason. So the point is, whether players sliding into clear space need to be aware of danger in the area later. Yeah. That's what we're wrestling with. Oh, okay. I see Simon thinking about the relevance. Did the sliding attacker score the goal? Probably. I don't know. Look at that video. Okay, but we're going to assume that sliding attacker scored the goal for the purposes of our principle-based discussion. Wow, that's a good point. Also, 46 of you, hi. Nice to see you. Advantage watchers. Yeah. Who? Come on, like button clickers. We need you. Go. Rah. Team. And Matt, the longer the slide, the more the situation can change. The longer the slide, the greater the energy, the greater the danger. Good point. How long is the slide? It's not that long. On his feet, slides. He's not in full contact with the ground there, but he's there. Okay, so this is the distance of the slide. Now we're probably actually pretty square on to the angle of his. So it looks like a good 5 meters, maybe 6. Is that a long slide? Do we consider that a long slide? He's going at pace. He's absolutely trucking it. Okay, good points. And this is one of the reasons why Matt and I have been doing this a long time together as friends, is exploring, trying to get the reasoning out for these situations. Eggleton. It's actually quite hard to see the attacker. Yeah, made contact with a defender or 2 defenders came together. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mix there, but we're going to, again, just to sort of really try to work through this scenario because that's where the real doubt comes in. 12:37. Okay, just going to give another minute. I don't think we can expect players to predict the future, just like we only blow if something actually happens, not as soon as we think it will. At the same time, you don't think it'd be reasonable to say defenders aware of sliding in attackers should have to stay back as they should have a right to defend. Good point. And finally, defenders have to keep 5 meters when opponents are receiving aerials, meaning that they're responsible to keep things safe, even if it hinders their defending opportunities. So you're contrasting that with the aerial reception situation. And I guess the distinction that you would draw there is that there's a specific rule in place that encourages that skill to develop. So the whole 5 meter aerial reception thing was in the rule book so that players could safely develop this skill that was decided to be attractive and beneficial to the game. And the only way we can do this, friends, is if we make sure that people aren't taking each other's heads off. And the way we're going to inform the hockey community and build that sense and that knowledge that this is how you play is to put it very strictly in the rules, very, very strictly and clearly. And then, and I don't know if they had this as a long-term plan, they being a nebulous idea of a person being a collective. Did they know that they were going to start relaxing the rule as people understood the principle and the idea and the spirit behind it, and that infused throughout the hockey community? Or have they just realized accidentally, organically, as time has gone on, that they can? I don't know. Those are really good points, Scott. I appreciate that very much. We set that high bar, for sliding defenders. They're going into the space. The attacker will soon enter, but they mustn't make contact and bring attacker to ground. Yeah. And I guess part of that is because the immediacy is even... Okay, how do I explain this properly or deal with it? I think there's a distinction that we can draw, though, in that, again, attackers are carrying a ball and they are the actors that are determining what is happening with a play, whereas a defender is trying to dispossess that player of the ball. In this situation, the defender here does not have possession of the ball. They are reacting to what's happening by an attacker who's trying to gain the ball. There's a there's a difference of responsibility, not responsibility. I'm not going to explain this very well, so give me another couple minutes. It's an important point I want to deal with, but I can tell I'm lacking the verbal acuity to deal with it properly. I hope somebody else chimes in and tells me what I'm supposed to say. James Barnes, the issue in this scenario is the defender is legitimately attempting to stop the goal as the keeper's out of the way and isn't looking in the direction of the sliding attacker. Okay. You may pose the question, Nick Eva. If this happened in another part of the pitch, would we judge the slide differently? I think if you slide, you're creating the opportunity for danger as per 913 in guidance. It's a good point as well. The defender and the goalkeeper created the danger goal. I don't think that's going to work in that situation. Gary, so if an attacker comes sliding in that fast, how do you defend against it? You get to the ball first. You get to the ball first and you see them coming and you can adjust. You can not. I don't know. It's very, very particular for the situation. I can't really tell you, but that's another thing is that if an attacker is on the ground and I can see them coming, I know exactly where they're going because they can't change their direction. And that's another thing. It's like I can do something different, not necessarily just to protect myself, but also to gain an advantage because if I see them coming sliding and here's the ball, I'll be like, boop. I will put it on their body. Not hard. I'm not a monster. I was in my 20s, but I'm not like that anymore. Yeah, we don't have a specific rule for slides. Even though people talk about this as a rule, it's a guidance. It's a briefing and it's a guidance. And in that spirit, we need to talk about it. Tug Sim, hello. If I've said that right, welcome. If I said it wrong, sorry. The vid is fuzzy, but you can see him playing the ball in, so it looks like the slide is a score. He's sliding away from, at least perpendicular to the other players. I mean, I think that with our player spirit on, we're looking at that and going, that's just a really close but good, exciting play of hockey. Because for me, I feel like he's sliding into space. Let's does Loughborough see that as great play? I don't know. I don't know what their reactions were. I mean, we can't really tell. It could have been that the controlling umpire got swarmed and there could have been a protest after the game and refusal to share beer after. I don't know. We don't really know that. And just because we see the camera focusing on the reaction of the attacking team, it's hard to say. If we have to ensure the safety of all players, regardless of whether danger was to self or the others, it does have to be addressed. So the slide has to be deemed dangerous or not. It's not that, no, it's not that we're penalizing the attacker for creating danger to their self. In this case, it's whether, they are creating a danger potentially to an opposing player. After the ball goes in the goal and this takeout that you see right here in this moment, that is danger to another player. So when a player has fallen on the ground and the ball is around them, it could be like they have put themselves in a situation where an opponent could cause them danger inadvertently. Those are two very distinct situations. And so let's not get confused on those two things. Let's end this poll and see if we can get to a complete declaration of ambiguity. That's from last time. I was like, I was really convenient that my screenshot was already there. It wasn't. That was last time. Oop. There we go. So 43% want to call the goal off and give the yellow card. 40% say good goal as it was stood. So that's half and half. But then there's another 12% who would give the yellow card as well as the goal. So that means that 55% of you see a yellow card in that situation. And I assume for me, if we're deeming that to be full pace, that dangerous, you know, yeah, we're probably still looking at a 10. And 3% of you would have just given the free hit defense. Yeah. I put those little sucker questions in there to see, or sucker options, but there you go. Let's see. That's probably Canadianism, trucking it. Surely the speed comes into it as it created the danger since he slides. He didn't slide from that far out though. It's not like he slid from 10 meters away. He slid from like 5. That's not very far. The reason he was coming at such pace is that he was still on his feet and he was still accelerating with everything he had in order to get in a position where he could actually get down on the ground where he was most likely to be able to make legal contact with the ball with his stick. And I'm just going to call you Tug. Can I call you Tug? I think you're underestimating the danger of that poor post. No, nobody empathizes with maligned uprights. But I appreciate you extending that. Okay. And he also likely had to change direction, Jamal. I'm there. And poor post. It's going to be like restarting with a bully. So to wrap up that conversation as best I can is that I can't wrap up that conversation. We don't have a very good picture, and that's why it's so frustrating. And so many of you ask me, Keely, why do you keep putting up Pro League clips? You know, that's not relevant to my games and that I don't see those levels of skill. And I'm like, I don't care. It's not about the levels of skill. It's about understanding the logical process that you have to apply in order to make accurate decisions on the pitch. So the facts are never going to be the same, but the principles will always be the same. It's how you apply those principles to the differing set of facts that are in front of you. It's legal interpretation. Anyway, so I show high-level clips all the time because we often get better angles. We get different angles. We get better resolution sometimes. You know, slow-mo, the whole thing. It's difficult for us. But I guess that's part of the point is that, look, it really doesn't matter exactly what happened here, exactly what the umpires decide in the moment. That doesn't matter. We are doing the work and going through the exercise of thinking through the principles. And that's what I really want to emphasize here. Scott, can it be a goal and a yellow card if it's the same incident? If there's a card, they've done something wrong, so it can't be a goal. But if it's a goal, then they must have been innocent. Not always. It depends if you can separate the danger from the team award that happens before that. It's like a misconduct that can happen after a penalty corner is awarded or a penalty stroke or a free hit. And the team who gets the benefit of the team penalty or the team decision can still be carded for doing something dangerous and stupid, you know, but for that. This is one of those situations that's very difficult. It's very tenuous to make that because the slide is the action that allows the goal to be scored. So I acknowledge your point, Scott, and that just is another aspect in there, but people have to think through that themselves and think through whether they can award that goal at the same time. Okay? Thank you very much for all of your thoughts and your confusions. I am confused myself. Let's go into our next scenario. Our next topic. The hockey coach's secret. The secret coach. So, Twitter, all abuzz about this, and Facebook about this article that was published in a publication that doesn't even let people put their names to their work. Are they getting paid for this? Probably not. Angers. So, just a few highlights from this that I thought was very interesting. And the article is from a coaching perspective about the commentary, the level of commentary towards the umpires. Okay? And this coach admits that they were abusive in the past. That's the kind of person that they were towards the umpires. And he, as a player coming up, thought that he was entitled to make whatever comments he wanted. But now he's horrified. And he particularly points out the rude, sexist, and at times, or it was personal, rude, and sexist at times, and has no place in society, not even just in hockey. Okay. He addresses accusations of bias and cheating, so that's nice. And if we have no change, where are we going to end up? And I love this one. One of my best friends is a world-renowned umpire. I just love that comment because we hear it in other situations where there are isms involved. Like, are you umpirist? I can't be umpirist. I have an umpire as a best friend. What do you mean? Okay. And talks about how at a tournament that this umpire had been at, that they felt that they got into a real dispute with a coach because the coach felt that a PC should have been awarded for a reason that doesn't exist under the rules. And can you imagine an international coach not knowing the rules? Just imagine that. I don't imagine that, friend. I see it every freaking week. We're almost at the rant of the week. Not even quite, though. I'm warming up. So this coach announces, I'm taking a vow of silence now in the games that I coach. And that the attitude that my team likes it when I get after the umpires and this is good, just doesn't wash with this person anymore. Think about that advice for a moment. It's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. And time for a code of silence in the sideline, in the stands. I know. Why so bitter, Keely? Why so mad? Maybe it's because I'm old and I've seen these kind of articles over and over and over again. They're almost as common as the articles where olds like me decry how lazy and disrespectful and sweary the youth of today are. They've been happening forever. And you know what we don't see? Change. So, I am not interested in any other person. I don't care who you are. I don't care who your best friend is. I don't care if you're anonymous, if you signed your name or anything like that. I'm not interested in your opinion unless you acknowledge, you create, you implement a system of accountability that addresses the behavior. There are two parts of that, and please do not mistake me, because the first part of that accountability is on us. It is our job to enforce behavior and deal with dissent with the tools that we have available to us. And week after week, I talk to the wonderful people in my community and my membership about times that they have not use the tools at their disposal in order to deal with bad behavior. Every week it comes up, one way or another. This is a small group, just a sampling. So if we're doing this, if we are not penalizing dissent and misconduct and accusations of bias and cheating, if we're not doing that properly, that means everybody isn't doing it properly. It's all over the place. We are part of the problem and we gotta fix it. That's one half. The other half is there has to be accountability put in place by clubs, by national associations, by teams, by continental federations, by everybody who says, if you're a dick, you don't get to play anymore. You don't get to coach anymore. We don't hire you. We don't put you on the pitch. We don't let you into the stands. End of story. If we do not enforce, and if coaches don't enforce this on each other, if administrators don't enforce this within their clubs, it's never going to change. So stop writing articles and do something. And that, my friends, was my rant of the week. Wow, I forgot to press the button earlier. I just started going. Elsaby, you came in right at the right time when I was yelling at a piece of glass. Andrew, hi. Yeah, okay, there it was. Yeah, it was in the hockey paper, so it's England. I know, right? He's some of my best friends. At Boo's match, Simon's telling us this weekend after the match, 2 younger opposing team members confronted the umpire. Do you even know the rules? It was spat at. Sorry, do you even know the rules is like young players. 1 yellow card and 1 MMO postgame. Matt, sometimes getting the answers and what's important, talking through the thought process. Yeah, thank you. That's still on the last topic. So let's see where else we're at. Yeah, so you guys were picking up what I'm putting down there. There you go. What's sad is all the associations right to stop and think that a policy that says it's not okay, but it doesn't change. There you go. It was. I'm just bad at pressing buttons. You can't read those articles. Well, there you go. Joran, good to see you. Or Joran, sorry. Anger. I can't read either. Yeah, there you go. Hendrik, it's really upsetting to see this happening across lots of different sports with their umpires and referees. How does rugby seem to keep it together? Come here. I got a secret. Enforcement. So Stefan has a quote from a former Australian defense chief. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. Hi. No problem, Kat. That's what I thought. I love it. Mr. Eccleton, you were talking to a team captain who has a few players down last week. One not available because he picked up a yellow for shouting at the umpires of the club. Imposed a match suspension. That is exactly what needs to happen. Instead of what I sense when I talk to coaches and players is when they give the lip service to the idea that abusing umpires is bad and that they shouldn't do it. It's like, but sometimes the umpires are wrong, so it's kind of okay. You know? You have to be able, as a coach, to not yell at the umpires when they're wrong. You have to be able to keep your shit together when they have made a mistake, when they are having the worst game of their lives. That is the mark of commitment, discipline, and character. And I can say that because I did it for a whole season and I could do it for the rest of my life. As I sat on the sideline and didn't even pay attention to what the umpires were doing. Because I was doing my job, which was focusing on the players that I was being paid to look after. Do your damn jobs. Sorry. Bye, Hendrik. Okay. I feel better. I feel better. Topic 3, goalkeeper sliding tackle. Good old inside hockey. If the meme was good enough last week, let's do it another week. Same song. The heavy metal rendition of Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball. Love it. And I promised on Instagram I was going to deal with this. And I want to deal with this first of all by going, okay, inside hockey, let's have a talk here. When you put up clips like this, it's clickbait. Because even worse than the BUCS slide that we were trying to deal with, we can't see a thing. I have zoomed this up. I mean, this is on Instagram. People are looking at it on their tiny little phones. And sure, I know that the youngs are able to see better than I can, but still, they can't see this. They don't know. But what are the principles that we would look at if we could actually even see what was happening? Okay. We're looking at the control or the lack thereof of the directionality of the slide. We're looking at the direction of the slide. Is the attacker going straight towards that player, that goalkeeper who's sliding, and failing to change direction and simply going straight at that player who is closing down the space as they are entitled to do? Or are they coming from an angle? Should I pull this? We'll do this really fast. It's a binary, kids. I'm just giving you a binary. No tricks. No restart with a bully. We're not adding that in there. Let's hear what you have to say. You tell me the principles. I'm exhausted from my anger, okay? I'm just... That whole thing just got me so riled up, and now the adrenaline is already falling off. Yeah, that striker did take a big fly. Just on the last topic here, Stefan, you had enough with a parent who was abusing the players and the other umpire. What? At halftime, you told him if he doesn't shut up, you'd card the captain. He can explain why they're off. Enforcement. Even if that probably wasn't strictly under your league regulations, I ain't mad. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. Now that you're a goalie, Larry, you're saying play on? Oh, great. So, Henry, do you mind? Like, you don't have to, okay? Because I don't ever want to put people in that position. But if you want to tell us what you saw, tell us what you saw. For Simon, the attacker actually appears to stop to change direction. Goalkeeper continues and takes them out. Boo says it's a penalty stroke and a yellow card. And she'd never do it. It's because Boo's smart. David's gone with a penalty stroke and yellow card. What even are the... I don't even know if there's two teams out there. I can't even see that. Okay. It's England under 16 versus Ulster. Thank you for that information. Amazing. So, Henry. So, some of the comments in the Instagrams talked about shielding by the attacker. And I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying right now at this point that I believe that this is a intentionally reckless foul by the goalkeeper and it should be a stroke and a yellow. But even if the attacker was shielding in that moment, that doesn't excuse the motion there, because clearly the goalkeeper is not disadvantaged by that shield and being prevented from making a tackle because they just go straight through them. So this is one of those situations that the attempt at disadvantaging the opponent would have been futile and just is irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Keeper played the ball at least. Oh, Gary, don't. Stefan, what's a penalty stroke and a yellow? Henry's deciding whether he wants to chime in with his thought process. Maybe because he wants to see what everybody's going to say. The thing that trips me up, the thing that puts my spidey senses on full alert here, are the relative angles of the players. So a goalkeeper is expected to go to ground. They're expected to use their body to stop the ball. But in this moment, the ball isn't going towards the goal. It isn't traveling in that direction. The attacker is actually traveling kind of perpendicular to the goal. And then the goalkeeper meets him with pace. Was White definitely attacking? I think so. He called it first. Okay, Henry's going to go for it. Thank you, Henry. You're standing on the back post so you can see the keeper make stick contact with the ball. Then you ask your colleague if he's seen anything and he has better angle for the contact. Looking at the video, you think it's a penalty stroke and a yellow card. You're not 100% Simon Dolby on the red player leaning in on the attacker either. Yeah, that was an interesting thing as well. I was watching that angle. I don't know. But whenever you're seeing two players running like that, the first thing you're thinking about, principles, right? Is the attacker dropping the ball behind the left side of their body in an attempt to shield it from that chasing defender? So you're looking at that. And you're looking at whether there is potential body contact by that defender. Is there an obstruction? Is the stick getting in the way in front? We can't see any of that, obviously. Only Henry would have seen that. Compare this to the first sliding tackle vid. Keeper is definitely, definitely not sliding into space. He's intentionally sliding into contact. So says Tugs. Simon, you think the white player leans first, drop the shoulder, the red defender is responding. Yeah, and I mean, it's not, we don't really look at who started it, but we're looking at something like, is anybody really disadvantaged? Because sometimes shoulder to shoulder, it's 50-50, it's competition for the ball. And neither player is disadvantaging the other unfairly. For you, the attacker is in front of the defender and the ball's out in front. Yep, that's fine. And yeah, no obstruction, players are shoulder to shoulder. Exactly. So, and that's what I would have suspected, but we don't have the angles and you did. So excellent. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this poll. And, oh, your point is that it was 50-50, says Simon. Gotcha. 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. I need a song. I need a 2-minute warning song. I'm trying to get rid of that old poll. And oh, there it is. Okay. 84% of you want the stroke and the yellow, and 15% of you say play on. I think that's fair. It's, I think, you know, just seeing, you know, Henry's working through that situation and the angles, and what I think, what we want to be mindful of is, Henry talked about where his positioning was on that play, that he was on his back post, which is where you want to be in 95% of the time when the play is in and around your circle. But sometimes you do need to make little adjustments because you have a relatively clear a relatively clear circle. There's not a lot of likelihoods of where the ball is going to pop out and be in the way. And that is a crucial mode of contact that if you are 3 meters up from your end line, you might have a better opportunity of seeing around the goalkeeper to see where the contact is coming from. The other principle to keep in mind is watching the defender going into the tackle first. Okay, so are they running at pace? Is that goalkeeper running at pace and going into where the body is going, or are they going where the ball is? Slight difference, and probably explained very poorly in that moment. If you're giving a stroke for an intentional foul, though, you're saying it's intentionally reckless. Oh, there we go. Final countdown. No. Nope. Here, Stefan, is the direction... See, I try to go faster in these things, and then y'all have great questions, and we have to really just work through them. So thank you. Keep them coming. Is the direction of the ball the only consideration given there's another attacker that could get the ball from the pass? I'm not sure how that's relevant to how we're going to apply that to the goalkeeper's decisions there. If you're saying he's making sure that that pass is never going to get off because he's going to make sure he takes that player down, then yeah. Yeah, I did that intentionally, Tugs, because I would want to see a yellow card accompany that. Closing time, yeah. A little too, like, slow. And also, did you know that that song is not about what you think it's about? So go Google that. It's very interesting. Very interesting to hear about the origin of that song. Anyway, yeah. No, and that's, so Stephen, let's make sure that we don't get into the trap of believing that every intentional reckless foul for which we award a higher team penalty requires a personal penalty. We don't. We look at, on that merit, is it repeated behavior? Is it high impact? Is it physical and reckless? And there is something more inherently physical and reckless about everything that goalkeepers do because they can go to ground and they wear a lot of equipment. But that's one of those big, yeah, I would just... Henry thought it was, both the colleagues thought it was play on. Yep. And that's totally fine. And Henry, I mean, that video sucks. So this is not for you to sort of beat yourself up about it, but think about, okay, what kind of alternative actions could I have taken that would have given me a different angle? I would be interested in what your colleague was doing and what they were looking for, where they were looking, and what kind of angle they were giving you that would have been different. Because if they're wide and they're high, they're giving you the same angle that you're on. So are they interior of the pitch and able to see something from a different perspective? That would have been interesting. Would they have seen it from the angle that we kind of got from that tower camera rather than a side-on camera? Smashing him. Got away with it. No worries, Don. I hope you're feeling better as well. There we go. I had some angers. It's true. Yeah, you kept getting caught when the goalkeeper came out. Okay, that's excellent. It's almost like there's a coach here who could be helping you with all this. I'm just saying I haven't talked to you for a while, Henry, and I miss you. Yep. Raju! You're here. Good. Yeah, but we're not talking about a probability of a goal, right? That criterion, Stefan, is not coming into this equation at all. We're not talking about an unintentional foul that stops a probable goal from being scored. So that's why it's completely irrelevant. All we're talking about is whether this is an intentional foul. I don't know how that song goes. 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden. Not a metalhead. Weird, both of you. Okay, how are we doing for time? My usual. These get faster. This is more a food for thought. So this came from Mike McLean in the server, and I thought it was I thought I had actually written a reply, and I didn't ever send. So sorry, Mike. I intended to talk about this, but the question was focused on when you should stop time for a suspected head injury, and the rules or the briefing, the international briefing, all briefings indicate that when you suspect a head injury, when you see blood, when a player is in danger, you are to stop time immediately. This is probably one of the most 50-50 situations where I think in real time I would have also been tempted to continue play on if I didn't know how the injury was caused. Okay, so we're going to isolate those two things and talk about the time stoppage first. Because as this play continues, that player is behind the attack, but they're in a direct lane. If that goalkeeper is either better or worse, I don't know, goalkeepers, you tell me. Should this rebound have been cleared more towards that same end line rather than being popped into the middle of the circle? Not an expert here, asking an honest question. I would have expected the ball to go straight back that way, because goalkeepers tend to like to keep their angles over there. And when you see what happens, you're like, oh, and that's what happens when you rebound the ball into the middle of the circle. I'm not saying it's an easy shot. I'm just saying, you know, would I have tried to assess in that moment the likelihood of the ball getting back towards where that player is, down on the ground and clearly unable to defend themselves? I think it's pretty high. Okay. I need something with even more fury in it. And you were thinking the attacker, okay. Surely going to fly. Okay. There you go. So Andrew's asking if the attacker caused the head contact. Actually, what happened was, and again, this is Promodiclassa. Did I say that reasonably correctly? I think it's Promodiclassa. Anyway, it's under the Hoofteclassa, I think. And look, we have like a long post right in the middle of the way. We can't see, for example, whether this chasing defender is committing a stick tackle right here from behind, which could have been a very quick penalty stroke. Okay. When those calls get missed, players often get a little ticked off, and then they end up doing things like this, where the attacker is like, get out of my kitchen, you're interfering with my stick. And they lift their stick up too high. Or they use their stick in a dangerous manner considering where the other players are on the pitch. And the last sort of piece of the puzzle is that this defender is coming in with a low stretched out stick, and they have their head down low. Should we be deeming them as causing potential danger to themselves in this situation? No. Sorry. This is all on the attacker. So unless there was some action that happened before this, and this defender was like, ha, 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 interfering with a stick, and there was something that should have been called prior to this moment, that attacker used a stick dangerously. That's an immediate free hit defense, and it's a 5-minute yellow card. Boom. No goal is scored. That's the way I see it. No poll. Let's see if y'all agree. Hint, please agree with me. I need some agreement today. I just need some agreement today. Yeah, and that happens sometimes, Jenny. Supporting umpire might stop play because they see danger, potential danger to a player in your circle that you're just not able to see because you're tracking the ball. And again, this is not dragging the umpire in this situation because they've got a lot to process in this moment. There's a lot of things happening here. But this is a very difficult call to make down in this area. You have to be well positioned to do it. And as Henry acknowledged in the last clip, this is probably a good time to be flashing up inside the circle. You shouldn't be standing in your happy place in that moment. That is your call to make, and you have to get yourself into a position. And I think that umpire was in his happy place the whole time and couldn't see what was happening. Okay? So I'd love to work with you on your positioning, friend. Okay, but very difficult, ball moving fast. And as this pass is going, this umpire, not the pass is going, but the maneuver, that umpire is probably also pre-scanning, okay, where are the danger points? Is somebody coming in for a slide? Who's going to shoot this ball? Blah, 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 blah. So a lot going on there. We all would like to think, Simon, that we'd blow stop time as soon as possible, as the player down in the D during active play with the ball coming in is dangerous, and it's our job to protect players. Yeah. And then we start with a bully, with a word to the defense, perhaps, to allow them to play the ball the attacking team. Yeah, that would be the you know, the remedy that you'd want. And the key is, if you're going to take that approach and say, look, there's a player down, I suspect blood, I suspect a head injury, that you blow that so quickly, this sliding door never opens. You don't want the players to know what could have happened afterwards, because you will never win at that point. Timing is everything. Everything when it comes to danger. And so you need to stop this before the goal goes in. And then you have a whole mess of things. Like, imagine if after this goal goes in, colleague comes up and says, you missed it. The attacker, you know, hit the defender in the face, and that actually should have been a free hit out before then. Whoa. Now you've got a whole barrel of monkeys to deal with, and it's not the fun kind, right? I don't know. The action of the stick is more than what the ball needs. The stick comes up and the ball kind of, you know, just doesn't move. So I'm not sure. And the players are responsible for their sticks. And it's not like the defender was, you know, laying on the ground. They tripped and then they'd put themselves in danger. Is that a reasonable tackling position for most of us? I think it is. You want to stop due to the danger and not disadvantage either side. Yeah. Okay, good to know. Drive-by agreement. Thank you. Thank you, Jolt. Thank you for the drive-by. He heard me say I needed some agreement, and Jolt's like, wait. Activated. Mission accomplished. Thank you. Thank you, Godders. Mike, you agree it's reckless and dangerous by the attacker. Free hit defense and a card. See? This is the ego strokes that I need right now. Yes, look at this. I agree. Thank you. You guys are so good to me. Oh boy. Yeah. Denman, you may have had a rant about a supporting umpire blowing for an injury over half the pitch away in yellow chat. You may have done that. Tugs. Looks like stick contact on body leg. Stick left in the tackle from behind by green player. Yeah, not a PC stroke. So, Tugs, what we're looking for in that situation is whether reaching in from a position where you have a high likelihood of not succeeding in that tackle and the tackle does not succeed, that needs to be penalized as an intentional foul. Not that he intended to foul the guy, but he intended the action that he took that was reckless as to the result that a foul was going to occur out of it. Okay, so that's the way that we're shaping how we administer the upgrade, the more severe team penalties and personal penalties when we need to card intentional fouls. You can neither confirm nor deny. Thank you. Another drive-by. Okay. Almost a Keeley hour. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience at the CanAm indoor tournament. Just a quick little, a drive-by really about this. Why does this look so bad? I don't know. So this was 2 weekends ago, and this is the team, and look how pretty that everybody is. Super pretty. And I learned 2 things out of this tournament that I wanted to share with you. The first one is I did something in the briefing meeting that I've not done before. I've never seen done before, but I learned from FIH Academy courses that I took and the ones that I've administered that telling the presentees, the students, the audience that they are going to present the material, they are going to create the material, and they're going to present it back to you, is an excellent teaching tool. So what I did before this is I had Joe and Pamba and Alex and Ridge, who were on my team. I gave them 4 topics from the indoor briefing that just happened to be 4 questions that the USA senior coach sent to me before the tournament asking for clarification on. And I said, well, these are the hot button topics. This is what the US coach is interested in. So guess what? We're going to make sure that we're on the same page with this. So each umpire had their topic. And that meant that not only did they have to go read the briefing and have a look at what the briefing said and maybe explain the videos that they saw, and maybe if they had any questions or concerns about the videos, that we would work through those things together. And it also had them going through the briefing too. Plus, I didn't have to talk a lot, which was awesome for everybody involved. And when I took feedback from the 4 umpires afterwards, every one of them said that they thought that was great. So for those of us who are umpire managers, hi Matt, Godders, a few of the others in there, and we're leading briefings before tournaments, I'd invite you to give this a try. We're going to do this before the EHCO trophy in Amsterdam next week. So get ready. If you have a favorite topic from the briefing outdoor that you want to present on before the EHCO and you're going to be umpiring for us, well, get your request in early. The thing that I learned that I need to do better in the next tournament is planning match debriefs. So this was a really tough tournament. We knew it was going to be hard. We had 4 umpires for 9 games, which meant that some umpires were doing back-to-back games, not just as umpire and reserve, but we're doing umpire. There was just no way of getting around it. And obviously that sucks. That's terrible. But it also made it very difficult for me to find the times when I could actually speak to an umpire, because we're not going to debrief a match while they're sitting at the tech table. They actually have jobs to do while they're on the tech table in terms of timing penalty corners and helping for things like that, monitoring the cards, all that kind of thing. So I didn't do a good job in making sure that everybody got their match debriefs done so that they had actionable steps that they could put into their next games. So that's something I'm going to be thinking about going into the EHCO trophy, which is going to be so crazy that I'm going to try to set aside times by agreement with the umpires who are doing matches to make sure that I can get that information in and we can have those discussions, because they're so vital and need to happen. Okay. Let's see. I know which meme you're talking about here. This is amazing. Like, I'm in danger. Yes, and that's Ridge. Absolutely. I had so much fun working with them. Yes, you do this at Work for Health and Safety. Whole team learns. It was so good. So good. There you go. Tricky to see both. Thanks. Spot on. See, Nick's still giving me those things. So anyway, that's what I learned. I hope that's helpful for you, and that gives you something to think about as you go into your next experiences. And what's this one? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna skip this one because I think it requires a good level of conversation. So we're gonna save it. But I'm gonna slip this one at the end because this is some Stickwise Shithousery. Go on the Instagrams, follow our friend Callum at Stickwise, and check out this little play. I saw this video and I'm like, this is hilarious. I loved this. As far as shithousing goes, it's very housey. It's just so fun. And then I got into... I go into the comments of these things mostly because I like to torture myself. And I found this was near the top. Andy Plays Hockey quoted the rule 9.3. Players must not touch, handle, or interfere with other players or their sticks or clothing. And players must not intimidate or impede another player. Copy paste. Well done, Andy Plays Hockey. This was my reply that I said to Callum, because we're friends. Andy Plays Hockey is clearly not part of the FHU third team because I forbid this kind of officiousness. Obviously a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I meant it also. So what if the young player retaliates? Asked Andy Plays Hockey. Would you allow this to continue? You would allow this to continue? Clearly not in the spirit of the sport. And I trotted out my 99 problems line. The ratio's pretty good. For a comment that's buried deep in the Instagram tree, 12 likes to 24. I'm not mad because, you know, people don't bother to read past. They don't always read, you know, the nested replies. But I would appreciate all your help. If you also agree that trotting out a rule and saying that a little tap of the stick on the back of the leg is a violation of Rule 9.3 and it should attract a misconduct penalty because there's no actual disadvantage at that moment, but for the fact that the player is an idiot and looks over his left shoulder. If you agree that this does not need to be dealt with as a form of misconduct, maybe a wink and a smile and a hey, don't get carried away sort of thing might even be needed, but I doubt it. You should have seen the stuff that I used to do when I played. It was not gentle like that. I was a goon. That would qualify as 9.3 and yellow card, potentially more behavior. I was terrible. So please, head on over to this Stickwise. Go to this video and upvote my response. That's all I'm asking for. And let's see what's going on. Simon, I go into the comments so that I can answer the questions that I think our reasonable community might have. I don't usually respond to a lot of this stuff, but I will go in and say, hey, I've got an answer for this. Come to What Up Wednesday. Cheeky little self-promotion. But I try not to get into that anymore. My feelings about social media and those kind of conversations are well known. And if you don't know about them, I just wrote a big post in the server about it. So you can read that. And I don't know what I was saying. It was going to be interesting. But yeah, it is helpful sometimes to go in the comments. I just try not to. Yeah. I torture myself. I feel seen. So I've decided this is a project we'll be working on in the next couple months. Rule 15 and the subclauses to Rule 15. I have a large number already drawn up. And the first one is don't be an officious dick. That is 15.1. And then we go from there. So we will discuss this in the server. I wonder if YouTube thinks that's a swear. Do they think? What if I was talking about a private detective? What if I was talking about my friend Richard? Would that word qualify? I forbid this level of officiousness t-shirts. I don't know if it's clever enough, but we'll find out. We'll see. Yes, it's 9 to 15. No, it's not worth dealing with it. Where's the disadvantage? Where's the real 9.3? Like, it's just not, no, it's just not even there. But being officious is clearly in the spirit of the game. Well, Andy's a player. It says so right in his handle. He plays hockey. I have throwbacks to an older player I know, says Denman. An attacker kept being overly physical and dirty with a junior player in defense. Okay, I would not do that. I only did that in competitive games against opponents that were better than me. That's very different. The sub swaps him off and stands next to him and says, if you try that again, I'll wait until the umpire's not looking and break your nose. Did Callum shout in a pantomime voice? Behind you! I don't know what a pantomime voice is, but you can tell me more about that. It's definitely the thin end of the shithousery wedge. But we're okay with nuance. We know that there's gray area. That's what our game is. It's like, why is our pitch even green? It should be painted gray. And it should be ombre and like gradient gray. It shouldn't even be one gray because it's so nuanced and it goes all over the place. And I'm telling you that my nuance is screaming at me that there's nothing wrong with this. Suck it up. And David's going to try it in his next hockey game. Good. I love it. Oh, it's almost as risky as standing on somebody's shoelaces. Oh, if that's the worst that I did, Gary, let me tell you. Shithousery is a word that YouTube required me to approve in the chat message. Oh, shithousery is. That's interesting. What's up with that, YouTube? First recruitment line for umpires is found in the All Blacks tagline, dickheads need not apply. There you go. Okay, look, I'm not encouraging it, Gideon. I'm not saying that everybody should go out this and use this as a tactic. But thanks for playing along today. Are we going to do a What Up Wednesday next week from Amsterdam? I don't know. What we might do, and the more that I talk aloud, the more I'm talking myself into this idea. I am very happy, and I'm going to speak royally. We are so happy that my friend Iskander Rusli from Malaysia, a retired FH umpire, just happened to have reached out. He's like, oh, you're going to do the EHCO trophy? I'm going over too. And I'm like, hi, do you have any friends to hang out with? He says, no, Lone Ranger. And I'm like, come on. You're one of us now. So Iskander is going to come along and he's going to give us a talk on the Wednesday. If you think it's a good idea for us to live stream that talk, so we would have 2 mics and Cameron recording us and stream that out to What Up Wednesday, we can try that. I don't know. Like, why not? Let me know if you think that's a good idea. Yeah, they heard the naughty word. Let's see what happens. Canadian internet? You broke it. What happened? Am I back? I seem to be live. Couple more seconds. What is happening? Okay. It's still running for some people, so it's only not running for some of you. This is fascinating. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess Andy Plays Hockey has hacked me. That's great. Cheers, friend. This is just crazy. See, you're there. Goddard's is going. I don't know what's happened. Stream health. Stream is healthy. Excellent. I froze on some outputs, but you have me on TV. Okay, well, I'm wrapping up anyway. 1:30. I talked about Iskander. It's an EU thing. Apparently, the word shithousery is a bad word, and that's why I said it again. Engineers have friends. That's really rude. They have more friends than I do. Because I just made an enemy today. It's still stop for you. I don't understand. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Probably, somehow, come into the server FHumpires / there it is. And yeah, we'll see you in there. And thanks. You're awesome. We are going to have some fun next week, and everything will be different. Have a great week, y'all, and goodbye.